Hello everybody and welcome back to Typical City Monday morning after the Manchester demolition derby. 3-0 to Manchester City, a fully deserved victory in the Manchester derby. It gets a bit of a formality after a while, doesn't it? These Manchester derbies that keep rocking up year after year, we seem to get better and better every single year, and they seem to decline year after year. The gap between the two clubs is growing right now. It is growing and growing, and it used to be a small little gap at the start of our growth since Sheikh Mansour took over, but now in 2023 we're talking about a chasm, a canyon of quality, and the gulf in quality, the gap between the two teams is there for all to see, both in quality and in terms of application and effort. It's there for all to see, and it's pretty damning for Manchester United. I'm going to be doing a deep dive analysis as soon as I can after this. This is of course the player rating, so I'm going to deep dive into each individual's player ratings statistically. Those of you that don't know, each player starts at a 6 and they work their way up, and then if anything goes wrong they can work their way down from a 6. No one's getting below a 6 of course in this game, because I thought there was plenty of good performances in that team. But I'm going to start with the match stats that you can see on your screen right now. City with 60% of the possession to United's 40, 21 shots to their 7 at the Swamp. We went there and trebled the amount of shots that they had in total, with 10 of them being on target, an XG of 4 to United's 0.95. They did well to get that, to be honest. 0.95 isn't that bad, really, considering how the game actually panned out. 7 big chances to their 1. And 605 passes to their 391, and you can see the fouls as well, nearly double the amount of fouls we committed, with 4 yellow cards. All that frustration was creeping into their play towards the end of the game. But let's get straight into the player ratings now. Ederson, 90 minutes played. He kept us in the game early on because there were mistakes cropping up. Phil Foden and Josko Gvardiol, I'll get onto those two individuals shortly as well. Those two gave the ball away in killer moments, sending Højlund through, and McTominay ended up going through on goal. Ederson came out really well and caused Højlund, from Foden's misplaced pass, comes out and causes Højlund to make a mistake and goes far too wide for him to generate any chance of actually getting a goal in that situation. And the McTominay shot, that was a big save. Really good from Ederson. 44 touches, 79% passing accuracy. You want to see that creep up a little bit. A bit low by Ederson standards, that is. 0 key passes, 3 saves and 0s in the rest. 6.5 for Ederson, because really those saves in the first half, that one moment in particular with Højlund and that one big save for McTominay is why he's bumped his score up a little bit, but needs to work on his distribution a little bit, but still, not much for him to do in truth. Kyle Walker, I thought he was really good. There was very few moments where he came forward, but when he did come forward, particularly in the first half, he was great. Some of his crosses were into dangerous areas, and he was getting into threatening areas right down to the byline. He maintained his width alongside Gvardiol really well in this game and caused United problems. They didn't know how to press centrally, and they didn't know whether to stick with Kyle Walker and Gvardiol when we kept them wide, or do they want to create a narrow block. They did not know what to do. And Kyle Walker maintaining his width as we were breaking out from the back was really good. 90 touches, 94% passing accuracy, 3 tackles, an interception, a clearance, a block shot, and 2 aerial duels won. Really good from Kyle Walker. I thought he played really well. 7.5. Ruben Diaz, a lot less to do in this game defensively. You can see in his stats there, 0 tackles. How often do you talk about that? That's more of a reflection of United. 0 tackles for Ruben Diaz in a Manchester derby. He didn't have to make a tackle. Unbelievable. 93% passing accuracy with 87 touches, 2 aerial duels won, and 3 interceptions, 3 clearances, which is good. No block shots. Not much to do, but still, got to give him a 7 because he played pretty well when everything, and if he was asked to do anything, he did it. He answered the questions. Josko Gvardiol, going to jump straight to that error that led to a shot. He got off to a really ropey start. Really looked nervous. You know, I don't think Ake would have looked quite as nervous. I think Ake is more comfortable in here right now. But he's a young lad, Gvardiol. We have to remember his age. And he grew into the game. He shook those nerves off in those mistakes that he was making in that first 10-15 minute spell that was like, oh, we're in trouble here. This lad's struggling. And he was giving it away numerous times, one of which, as you can see, led to a direct shot on goal from Scott McTominay. and Bruno Fernandes as well nipped in on him, causing him a bit of pressure at times as well. So, but the positive about this situation was he didn't shrink, he didn't act scared, he grew into the game, if anything. In the second half, he didn't do much in terms of that much positive thing, but there was no evidence of him being scared on the ball at any moment, where he'd been making mistakes, but he didn't care. He said, give me the ball, I don't care, I've got a point to prove. And that attitude is what we want. You know, it was a fantastic attitude from Josko Gvardiol in that second half to keep progressing forward whenever he could. And he was okay. Eventually, after those mistakes, he was okay. 0 tackles, a clearance, 3 interceptions, that 1 error. And he was dribbled past twice as well, which happened in the first half. 6.5, probably one of his worst performances, but still not afraid to step up to the plate even after those mistakes. On to John Stones, drifting in and out of that half-back role in defensive midfield again. I thought he was brilliant. What isn't going to be mentioned statistically is his movement. His movement was fantastic. He was dragging Scott McTominay and Eriksen and Amrabat all over the place. His movement was causing chaos. If they wanted a central block, he was pulling a little bit wide into the inside channels to help Walker or Josko Gvardiol from breaking out from the back. Alternatively, he was just pinning himself right in the middle of the pitch to help Rodri just like poke out those little channels in the middle of the pitch, either side of Scott McTominay's press. They didn't know what to do with him. His movement was really, really good. He couldn't actually affect the game statistically that well. He didn't get involved in as much as I imagine he would have liked to have done, as you can see with his 59 touches. But he had to drop in and out of a versatile role of playing centre-back. There were moments where we had to defend and he dropped into centre-back really well. But in that defensive midfield role, it's his movement. His movement was really intelligent. 94% passing accuracy, 3 key passes, mind you, so he was still affecting the game. An interception, a tackle, 2 clearances, and he only lost the ball 5 times. You know, really good from John Stones, giving him a 7. Rodri, as you can see, he can definitely impact the game. Nearly double John Stones' amount of touches, so he was affecting the game from the middle of the park. Still, I thought Rodri was fantastic again as well. He was involved in the penalty as well. He got himself involved in the 3rd goal as well with that long shot from outside the box, which he just ghosted past Eriksen like he wasn't even there. Drills it with his left foot, forces the save from Onana. Haaland picks up the pieces. Haaland lays it to Phil Foden. So Rodri was heavily involved in a lot of our goals as well. Of course, the penalty as well. 89% passing accuracy, 3 tackles, a clearance, an interception, 1 shot on target that I've just mentioned, and he lost the ball 11 times. 7.5 for Rodri, him and John Stones. What's really fascinating right now is those two together are an absolute beast of a team. 2 double pivots that are just frightening physicality and ability on the ball. Just so solid and assured between them. It's just such a good time. I said it in a couple of videos ago. John Stones returning is just as big as Rodri coming back from suspension, and having them together. I would like to see if John Stones can do the Rodri role without Rodri. You know, I'd love to see that. If he can do that, his game's going to go to another level, because Rodri alongside him gives him that safety net, doesn't he? Because together they almost complement one another, offering safety nets for one another. I would like to see John Stones. We know Rodri can do it without John Stones. We know that. I'd wonder if John Stones can do it without Rodri. That would be a big test for John Stones. And one, I think he can do it. I really think he could do it, you know. And I'd like to see it happen. 7.5 for Rodri. Bernardo Silva, man of the match. Everywhere on this pitch. Everywhere. It was absolutely sensational from Bernardo Silva yesterday. Unbelievable performance. Not the first time we've seen him tear Old Trafford to pieces as well, because he seems to have an unbelievable record at Old Trafford as well against United in general. His goal involvement, I don't know the actual numbers, but he's got a stupid amount of goal involvements against United. He haunts them. He is the thorn in Man United's side all the time, consistently turning up against Man United. 77 touches, 90% passing accuracy. 3 key passes, 3 big chances created, 2 dribbles, he completed them both. 1 shot only, but it was on target. He lost the ball 13 times, but it was his link-up play that stood out to me. His ability to get back, he was clearing the ball, he was helping out Rodri, coming alongside John Stones and Rodri and helping the link-up play, building out from the back. At times he was linking up with Ruben Diaz. The most common link-up play was with Jack Grealish, which was really good to see. Those two drifting in and out of the inside channel and the outside channel, sometimes Grealish overlapping Jack Grealish, Bernardo Silva, sometimes underlapping one another. The fluidity between those two players in that link-up side of the play was absolutely sensational. Occasionally linking up with Phil Foden, but predominantly on Jack Grealish's side, where he really linked up well with him. An amazing performance from Bernardo Silva as well. Of course, he got that assist as well, dinking that lovely little cross all the way to the back post for Erling Haaland to nod it in to make it 2-0 as well. So, got to give him an 8.5 man of the match performance for Bernardo Silva. Jack Grealish, really good again. Solid performance from Jack Grealish. Like I said yesterday in my match reaction, I don't think we need to compare Doku to Jack Grealish anymore. It doesn't really make that much sense. Very different players. Two players that do very different roles, albeit in similar positions. I'll give you that. They play in the same area of the pitch, but they do very different tasks. You know, and the what Jack Grealish does is obviously maintaining the ball, but he's actually stepping up the other side of his game. The plaudits that Doku gets is his creativity and his dribbling ability. Jack Grealish is building on that side of his game as well, and he's recognising that Doku can do those things. He's now doing it, as you can see right there, with his dribbles and successful dribbles. 4 dribbles attempted, 3 of which were successful, which, you know, he wasn't even trying dribbles earlier on in the season before Doku started getting a starting 11 position. Now Jack Grealish is doing both sides of the game, you know, the retention of the ball as well as being purposeful with it when he gets it. Picking the right option to do, not always just playing it simply in back. Every now and again, trying something a little bit differently. Shots on target, and we need to improve on that. Jack Grealish was a bit wayward. One of them was blocked. One of them was off target. The other one was on target with 1 key pass. 88% passing accuracy from 61 touches. 1 big chance created. 12 times he lost the ball. Really good from Jack Grealish. And, you know, it carried on. It echoed off the performance after Young Boys as well, where he was really good in that game as well. So, you know, an amazing headache for Pep Guardiola to have now, picking Doku or Jack Grealish. I thought Jack Grealish was fantastic again and warranted the start and the trust that Pep's put in him. Phil Foden, you know, there was that. He was a bit sloppy at times, Phil Foden. He comes away with a goal, and I actually thought there was moments where he looked brilliant, and then moments where he was sloppy. In that first half in particular, a couple of wayward passes, one terrible pass that sent Højlund through on goal, and thanks to Ederson coming out quickly, and they managed that situation quickly. But little lapses of concentration, potentially could talk about nerves for Phil Foden, being the Mancunian lad that he is. This means more to him than probably most of the City players in that squad. They all care about it, of course they do, but Phil Foden's probably got that extra little bit invested into a Manchester derby, being from Manchester himself, of course. 73 touches, 87% passing accuracy, 2 dribbles, 1 of which was successful, 2 shots, 1 on target, a goal from 2 yards out, thanks to Erling Haaland. Interceptions 2, that 1 error that led to a shot, of course. 12 times he lost the ball, but still got himself a goal. So I have to give him at least a 0.5 bump up for that. He would have got a 7 without that goal, in truth. But still moments of quality from him. Don't get me wrong. There were first half he was a bit ropey. Second half he really grew into the game. 7.5 for Phil Foden. Julian Alvarez, not as effective as he could have been. His form's dipped a little. A little bit. I mean, he was hitting heights that we haven't really ever seen from Julian Alvarez since he joined City last season. He struggled to impact the game a little bit. There's one thing I want to leap to straight away, and I can guarantee you those corners. The amount of corners that we had in the first half was unbelievable. 13 crosses, Julian Alvarez, 1 of which was accurate. Okay, so sometimes you question the accuracy of crosses. Was it the defending ability of Man United? Did they have the physical presence to clear the ball? Did City create enough problems? Did they get underneath the ball? Did they pick up the trajectory and the flight of the ball as well as they could have? Or was it just a poor delivery? I think a bit of both. I think Julian Alvarez put in some good crosses at times and City were just caught underneath the ball a little bit. Maguire was clearing the ball. Jonny Evans was clearing the ball. Some were just poor crosses from Julian Alvarez. So something to work on, seeing as he seems to be our main corner taker right now without Kevin De Bruyne. Something to work on for Julian Alvarez because, I mean, we've got a big side. We should be punting. If we're getting 8-9 corners in 45 minutes, we should be getting a few shots away or at least creating something from it because none of those corners amounted to anything genuinely dangerous. And corners are dangerous. We should be making more of those situations. 59 touches, 88% passing accuracy, 2 key passes, 3 shots, 1 on target, 1 successful dribble. Like I said about the crosses, and he lost the ball 17 times, which is the most out of anybody in the City team, which is why I could only give him a 7. But it's not a bad performance from Julian Alvarez. I thought he was lively, as he always is. He was effective in pressing quite well. I thought he allowed Haaland to stay back and man-mark Scott McTominay at moments and just block the central through ball into McTominay's path, whereas Alvarez was pressing Onana or Maguire or Jonny Evans, and his press is always good, Julian Alvarez. So 7 for Julian Alvarez. Erling Haaland, 2 goals to his name. Could have had more, in truth. Jumping straight to those big chances missed. We know the one with the header, which was a good save, but he made it savable, Haaland, because, you know, if he gets that into the corner, it's 2-0 before half-time. And then there was the little through ball from Jack Grealish, another reason why Jack Grealish just played so well. That little slid through ball right through the middle, right through the heart of Man United's defence. A little dink. Onana gets a bit lucky, in fairness, that it hits him in the face rather than anything you save it with is a good save at the end of the day from the goalkeeper's perspective. But still, Erling Haaland, like, he should have buried one more, probably. He could have come away with a hat-trick, but he very unselfishly lays it off to Phil Foden. But there was no mistake from the penalty. He gave him the eyes, pops it in the bottom corner. His link-up play was okay at times, but again, we're talking about Erling Haaland going to Old Trafford and scoring 2 goals. Could have quite easily come away with a hat-trick. 5 shots in total, 4 on target, 1 aerial duel, 1 a key pass. 70% passing accuracy is something I want to see. He's got that up in recent weeks. If you look at my previous player ratings for the last 3 or 4 weeks, he's been in the 80s, sometimes 90s. Now he's dropping down to what he was doing earlier on in the season. But still, that's not his game. That's not why we have him in the starting 11. It's not for passing and things like that. It's for putting the ball in the back of the net and being the end of brilliant Manchester City moves. And that's exactly what he did. Heading home to make it 2-0. Fantastic header as well. Really good football overall from the team. You can't not give the guy an 8.5 for coming to Old Trafford in a Manchester derby, scoring 2 and getting an assist. You know, 2 goals and an assist. Haaland had a direct involvement in all 3 goals, so without him, the game would have been a very different result. 6 times he lost the ball as well, so 8.5 for Erling Haaland. Now onto the substitute appearances. Jeremy Doku, 9 minutes played. I mean, you come onto the pitch with a 6. If you do nothing, you leave with a 6. Most of the 2 substitutes, Doku and Kovacic, didn't really do much, in fairness, but one thing he did do is piss Fernandes off, which for me, that's an immediate 0.5, and getting Anthony to go like a little bitch, like Doku just did, giving it like one of them, very mature, like, don't do that, mate, or I'll knock your block off next time. Anthony hearing the word no again, and he didn't seem to like it. Surprise, surprise. Anthony. 3 dribbles as well from Doku as well. You know, and in those 9 minutes, he attempted 3 dribbles and he completed 2 of them. You know, 100% passing accuracy from 6 touches. Unbelievable. And he only lost the ball once. 6.5 just for pissing off Man United even more, which always gets a positive up in your score for doing things like that, Jeremy Doku. Kovacic, again, like I said, come on the pitch with a 6, go away with a 6. Not much to talk about there. 8 touches, 100% passing accuracy. Had a shot which wasn't on target. It was blocked, in fact, and a clearance as well. So 6 for Kovacic. But Blues, fantastic. Fantastic result. I do think we need to take into consideration how poor United were. I've got a deep dive analysis that I'm going to get onto as soon as I can. Might be the end of the day today. Might be tomorrow morning. I'll see how quick I can get it done for you. But that will highlight United's inefficiencies rather than City's qualities more than anything, because as well as we played, and we did play well, we punished them for playing poorly, but they played poorly. I think City fans can be happy with the fact that we were able to create as many chances as we were. We looked fluid in that second half. There was some fantastic football being played. But just to have a little bit of a reality check, just that dose of reality, just to calm it down a little bit. Let's not get too carried away. 3-0 away at Old Trafford's always enjoyable, don't get me wrong, but they were a joke. They were shite, United. Really, really poor. So we need to factor that in, because if we come up against Liverpool or Arsenal or whoever it may be in the Champions League, we're going to come up against tougher opponents than that. We just beat a mid-table Premier League team at the end of the day. So, you know, 3-0, fantastic, great result. But, you know, we'll come up against tougher performances than that and tougher opponents than that. So, still, let's enjoy it. Rub it in the noses of the Manchester United fans who are just like, I think even they've started to recognise they are nothing right now. They are nothing in terms of the tide has completely swung. The pendulum has swung. Manchester City are the biggest club in Manchester right now, and there is no 2 ways about it. In every sense of the word, you can stick your history up your arse, because this is a massive seismic change in who is the powerhouse in Manchester. There's no 2 ways about it right now. Going off history, you can forget your history, because we've been making our own for the last decade. You know, we've won 21 trophies in a decade, you know. that's history being made. It's already been made, you know, and we're clawing our way back up to what United's trophy total are. We're on our way. We keep doing it year after year. We can only win 4 in every season. Major trophies as well. Obviously, you can include the Super Cups and the Club World Cup and things like that. But still, we're on our way. We're catching them up. We're catching them up, and give it another decade and we'll see where we are. Another decade on top of that and we'll see where we are. Because there is no sign of Manchester United improving and every sign of City going from strength to strength. Blues, get your comments in below. I really want to hear them. What do you think of my player ratings? Who do you think I gave a harsh score to? Who do you think I gave a decent score to? Get your comments in below. I want to hear your predictions and your thoughts going forward after this Manchester derby, as well as reflecting back. Give us your thoughts in the comments. Please drop a like on the video as well. It really does help. Typical City is the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is Typical City now, holding up silverware.